So, you know, you leave after doing the work that you do and you go back home and you sit with yourself like, yo, I thought we were making a change that was going to be something that you see a result in. And you
Right.
can be really defeated. It is easy to get defeated in that. But
Right.
you still, the next day, you're going to hear a new story about somebody else. So you got to go back up and do it again.
Right.
And, you know, we haven't been getting results that are good. You know, so when you do get one victory, it's like, whoo, okay, this is not done in vain.
But they
But
always be small victories, though.
it's always going to be a small victory because somebody died. It's never going to be like, okay, it's full justice for somebody that died, because for me, full justice cannot exist. Like, it's deferred justice if somebody died. Like, it's
Right.
already a lost cause. You're fighting for it to not happen again. Once it happens again, you like, yo, you started from point zero again. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Definitely gonna keep
really,
happening. You heard about the guy who just died, the teacher
yeah,
who went into cardiac arrest because he got tased. And if
yeah,
you're watching the video, he's really not resisting. He's on edge.
yeah.
He's shaking up.
And he's there to ask for help. So those are the ones, those are the stories that you think about and you like, yo, who can I turn to ask for help? You are supposed to be sanctioned by the city to help us. Your shit say to protect and serve. Who are you protecting and serving?
Shit, not
You know what I
us.
mean?
They're protecting each other. That's why what is it called? The blue line or
Blue wall
something?
of justice,
Blue
yeah.
wall. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
they're there to protect each other.
It's a gang. You
It's
know,
very
the same like every other
upsetting
gang.
and
It's a
disheartening.
gang. It's a
Mm-hmm.
gang, you know. But for me, and this is a connection that I try to make with my divinity. I don't fear no demons. I don't fear nothing that walks this earth. Because I know that I come with God. And so
I
eventually
feel
I
you
feel
on
like
that.
there'll be justice and karma. You know what I'm saying? Like, goodness, I think, is always eventually, like, goodness is gonna meet with badness every time. You know what I'm saying? It's opposites attracting, some real shit. But at the end of the day, I know that we don't deserve to be persecuted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think deeply about it, like, yo, when I see black kids dancing on TikTok and they fucking shit up, and I'm like, yo, they made this trend. Or I hear music from an artist that's like, ooh, this feels like life. I know at the end of the day, with all the goodness that we bring out, the positivity, the creativity, the like straight from God gifts that we have, I'm like, nah, it's not gonna be forever like this.
Right.
I try to stay optimistic in that space, and I have a child I'm raising too. I'm raising my younger sister, so I have
Mm.
to enter her into the world with that protection mindset, like you have to do with your sons, but also with the optimism to say that it ain't gonna always be like this, like.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you once you start to get into the space where you like it's gonna be like this, you get comfortable, and then that shit
Right.
just gonna keep hitting you where you like, oh well, another nigga died. It is what it is, and that's
Right.
But I kind
crazy
of
as
think
shit.
that's where a lot of us are now, unfortunately.
Mhm.
I don't think that we're as outraged as we were before. I think honestly the reason why people were so outraged about George Floyd had that shit not Breonna Taylor absolutely because there was somebody else to kind of spill that narrative and tell that story, right? And then with George Floyd, it was literally on camera. You watch this man die on camera. Had there not in the Breonna Taylor situation, had there not been somebody who was physically there to give their account, because you think about everything else, Trayvon Martin, the only person that was able to tell their what happened from their vantage point, right, was George Zimmerman. Tamir Rice, there was nobody else around
Mm-hmm.
to really tell his story, right?
And that's how you know it's targeted too.
Around.
You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be like, oh ain't nobody
There's
around.
nobody around. But
Yeah,
with Breonna Taylor, there was somebody around, and with George Floyd, everyone was watching, and
and
even
Eric Garner too. And remember, they
Eric
persecuted
Garner too. Eric Garner too. But
and the
even
guy
with
who,
Eric Garner, they tried to spill it like, oh, he already had health problems. He already had health issues,
yeah,
just like
but
they did with
also,
Floyd. Oh he died of a drug overdose.
do
You
you
know what I
remember
mean?
with Eric Garner, the guy who took the video? They put his ass through the ringer too. They
Yeah, they
arrested him.
arrested him too.
Yeah, they was
They
not
arrested him
putting him
on a
in
bunch
prison and stuff
of
like
charges.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. So I honestly don't think there would be that level of outrage, especially from people of other cultures and ethnic groups and
if it
races
wasn't no video.
if there was no video.
Yeah,
Because
and
now
that shit was
everybody
9 minutes too. And that
yeah,
9 minutes watching somebody get killed was wild. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
That long 9 minutes for anybody is crazy. You're not. You're not
Right.
watching a 9 minute kill scene in no movie. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
it'd have to be a choreographed karate scene for you to see 40 niggas die. You're not
Mm-hmm.
watching one nigga get killed in not for 9 minutes in a movie. So to
Right.
watch that, it's like watching
Right.
waterboard, like waterboarding or some shit. It's torture. So
Yeah,
at the end of the day, people feel uncomfortable with it. That's why people got outraged. They felt uncomfortable.
yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
You
no
know?
heat of the moment
because if you're
shit.
sitting here just watching the shit and you're not at posting, what did they post, the black background
Mm-hmm.
on blackout Tuesday. If you're not posting that, then somehow, you know what I'm saying, you're you're okay with what happened, you're condoning what happened. So it was a lot of white guilt. That's the first time that I remember I was living, this is when I was living in Grant Park, which is like the border of East Atlanta and South Atlanta. And I used to go to the gym, and
Right.
I used to pass Boulevard, or I would turn on Boulevard. I would make a left on Boulevard. And on Boulevard, I swear to God, and this was like for a cool year, there was nothing but white people on the corner holding up Black Lives Matter signs, Black Lives Matter
Mm-hmm.
signs. And I'm like, I've been living in Atlanta since '06. I've never seen anything like this in my motherfucking life. I swear to God. But not
It's
from
because
black
it's
people either,
trending.
though. Not from black people either. Like we'll have our marches. People will go to Centennial Olympic Park, but you see white people here and there, but it's not like that.
I ain't
Not
gonna lie though. I'm a person. I don't like it be marches and shit. I don't really go because I be feeling like this, right? I'm like how y'all said earlier, like what's gonna happen from this? So I'm like one of them people that it's like, man, whenever y'all ready to motherfucking wrap y'all's hands up and go in the
And let's
street
go.
and really do this, because it's like we gonna march and then they gonna have a little talk and all their little panels and then it's gonna be nothing. You know what I'm saying? So but I feel like a lot of them people just be doing the shit just because it's trending. Like right now, it's not trending no more. And them same white people, they not really like it's a saying over here in Oregon that they got in our neighborhood. They gentrified. They got rid of the black people and put up Black Lives Matter signs. Y'all got Black Lives Matter signs, but y'all still don't want us in y'all's business. Y'all still not hiring us. Y'all still not giving us ownership of our community back.
facts.
Y'all not
Yeah,
giving
because
us no opportunity.
it's a novel idea to say the shit, but to live it is totally different level of commitment. You know what I'm
But
saying?
it's
Yeah.
a benefit
Even
to
amongst
live.
our own community, to say it means you have to quell your ego. Like you also got to step back when a nigga step on your shoes. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gotta go to blows. It don't even gotta go to guns. You know what I'm saying? But right now, people are so disconnected from their consciousness because they're doing this, diving into quick responses. They want quick answers, quick results. They want feedback immediately. You got social media culture, where people are presenting fake relationships, fake justice, fake social justice interests. We
Right.
had a bunch of revelations about people that we thought were like up there and really concerned with the community, like, you know what I'm saying, where it was influencers in a social justice game, looking at them like, yo, you're not even black. Where you, why you was acting like you was black, but you not black? Like that's a wild premise. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Mm-hmm.
you can't be just and you pretending to be something. Like it got to be honesty all the way. But everybody, right now it's a clout game. It's been a clout game for at least the last 15 years. It's
Right.
pretty scary. Um, we don't have a level of conscious artist on the front stage who is solely in that direction and getting love. You know what I'm saying? We got Kendricks, we got J. Cole, we got Big Crit, we got people like that are in that mindset. We got Cyrock, we got Black Thought, but they're not getting the same level of amplification behind them as people that are talking about whatever they want to talk about. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
definitely think that Kendrick and J. Cole definitely are,
yeah.
specifically Kendrick. And I think that Kendrick, because he has transcended like cross culturally,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like he's definitely, I think even when Lil Baby went and made that song in the aftermath of the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, I still don't think it captivated people as much as
All
when Kendrick
right.
asked about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of looked, and I love Lil Baby. I'm a Lil
Yeah, yeah.
Baby fan. I took COVID chances going to that little baby concert last year, the year
Right.
before last, and I ended up getting that shit too. But and
Look at
I
Trent.
was fucked up
It's
for
always a 50-50, right?
I was fucked up for a cool 24 hours, and then after that, I was all right. But I will say this though, like with Lil Baby, because that's not his lane, it was not authentic to me. It was more so
Yeah.
like, damn, they're gonna look at
Integrity,
somebody
it
else
makes
and say
sense.
something. They're gonna call somebody out. Shit, is it gonna be me? Is it gonna be Thug? Is it gonna be Drake? Well, fuck it. Let me just go ahead before there's any pressure put on me. Let me just go ahead and release it. So a lot of people who are really, for one, really fucking with the culture, and two, also advocates for social justice, Black Lives Matter, so on and so forth. I definitely think we were kind of looking at it like, nigga, this ain't even you. Like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
like we love, like, baby, we love you, but like, come on now. Just the way I'm honestly, I feel like had he, maybe it's the way that the record was produced, maybe it was his delivery, maybe had he chosen, like, if he had gone about it a different way,
It was
Right.
contrived. It
it had
felt
been a
like
little
he made it
different.
on purpose.
Yeah,
He was
it
like,
felt like
okay, I'm gonna
he
do
did
this
it
because
on
of this.
purpose.
Now
I feel
it's cool.
like if he had
It's
put out
cool
a
because it had
track,
an impact.
hold on. If
It's
I
cool
feel like,
because it had an impact.
go ahead.
Now I was saying it's cool because it had an impact, but at the end of the day, it's still like, well, do you really mean this?
It really didn't have an
Mm-hmm.
impact though, because niggas forgot about that shit real quick.
Nah, it got on
Forgot
the
about
radio.
that.
You know what I'm
He had
saying? As far as getting played on the radio, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like it could have been a mixtape track. Honestly, it was a throwaway. But at the end of the day, you got people that are like, oh my god, I'm 10 years old, and little baby he's my social justice warrior. Like I can find it there. But that's all that you're getting. You're not getting it to have a response to the people that can actually take those actions. So it was contrived. At the end of the day, he's part of the machine. So he's getting fed by the machine to do what the machine is going to do to make money. And of
nobody
course,
remembers
he
that
got to
song.
do, I'm sure he got to do several shows surrounding Black Lives Matter initiatives, but I doubt any of that money ever made it to anybody. You know what I'm
I
saying? Like how many
was
times
at
people
his
pouring up?
concert and he did not perform that motherfucking song.
Yeah.
And he was performing shit. And I've been fucking with Lil Baby since harder than ever, since what, 2016, 2017. And he was performing songs from harder than ever. But he did not perform that song. And didn't he perform that song at the Grammys or AMAs or something like that? But
Yeah,
where,
big stage.
yeah, and he did not perform that song. And that was the biggest, that was a sold out show. That was one of the biggest concerts in Atlanta. Lil Baby and Friends was probably the biggest concert in Atlanta of that year. Like tonight was Future and Friends. Future and Friends is a big concert, but I promise you, Lil Baby and Friends was a much bigger concert because
Mm-hmm.
Lil Baby is more influential for the most part. Future is really kind of starting to fall off. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? But Lil Baby, he's nice. And then on top of that, everybody's looking at him like he's the one.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he's
young.
the
Mm.
He
one.
came in hungry.
Yeah. And people are fucking with that. Lil Baby could have done, if I feel like if that was something that Lil Baby really kind of was super invested, if this was a movement that Baby was super invested in, I personally feel like he would have performed that song at that concert. And like I said, I'm a big Baby fan. I love Baby. I've been fucking with Baby for years. But it's just you have certain artists that, like, a lot of people are saying, like Michael Rappaport was upset because he said we have one of the biggest artists, what, Jewish, like we, when he said we, he's talking about the Jews. We have the biggest artist, musician that's a part of our community, and he has not spoken out against anti-Semitism. He has not spoken out against Kanye West, whatever. He has not comments that he made against Jewish people. He has stayed silent. Well, how the fuck do you think we feel? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Drake hasn't talked. I have never heard Drake reference Breonna Taylor, Trayvon
Mm-hmm.
Martin, Eric Garner, Mike.
It's too much money at risk for that for him.
But
We gotta
it's
talk about integrity. You know what I'm
but at
saying?
the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, it's Drake. And Drake, as much as he says nigga in his songs, you half nigga. You
Shit.
ain't even a full nigga
Michael
for
Rapp-
real.
Michael Rappaport say niggas, so he could have got on. He could
He
have got on
said
some Mikey
nigga
said
in
some shit too.
Bamboozled. I never seen him say nigga outside of Bamboozled. But
Look,
but Drake half nigga, and he say nigga and 5 times in every verse. You know what I'm saying? But
so who we get mad at? We got to be mad at Drake or Quentin Miller.
I love Drake. I can be mad at Drake. I'm not mad, but you know what? I'm not mad at Drake because you know what? I know who Drake is.
You
I've
got
been
to take it
fucking
for
with
what
Drake
it's
since
worth.
the beginning. I know who it is. That's like if you got a cousin who steals, and you ain't gonna like I love you, but you ain't gonna be in my house unsupervised, my
Look,
nigga.
it's just
I'm not
listen.
leaving no money around you. I'm like, you want to come over? I'm gonna meet you at the
Look,
door. Here go your plate. I'm locking my shit up in the safe. You can't come in here.
look.
But I
It's just
love you.
look at Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
Everybody buy his shoes. Fan of what he do. When has Michael Jordan ever said anything about any black issue ever?
He wrote a check.
When has he said something though?
He wrote a check.
And he did it silently, and he slipped that motherfucker on the table, and slipped his way back out the fucking room and made another shoe. You
That's
I
know,
because
do.
and
Like when we think about integrity and we think about people sticking to their guns or even just connecting to their culture, I think it's really difficult for people when they are challenged by the idea that if they do that, they're not gonna make money. People are afraid that they're not gonna make that money, and you get to a certain level of
they
fame and
scared to get
notoriety when,
blackballed.
yeah, they scared to get blackballed. But not only that,
no,
their
I
money.
really think so.
You don't think
I don't
so?
see that. If Drake, first of all, Kanye was pissing everybody off. Do you really think everybody named Mama, people who didn't give a who probably don't even know who the fuck Anne Frank is, and who don't know the intricacies of the Holocaust, who just know Hitler killed a bunch of Jews, and that's pretty much it. They don't know shit about what the fuck anti-Semitism is. The motherfuckers, if you showed them a latke on motherfucking Hanukkah, they'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" They don't know shit about Jewish culture or nothing. They were out here talking about some. We denounce all forms of racism, anti-Semitism, and hate speech. We do not condone the comments made by Kanye West. Everybody and their mama was disavowing that man because he was pissing people off.
Mm-hmm.
He was straight pissing people off. It's not about getting blackballed because my whole thing is Drake, he pissed you off. He said you fucked his wife. You could have come out and been like, as a Jew, you could have played your Hanukkah card, my nigga.
Yeah, but that ain't how he built. He ain't built like that. He
Drake
got
is,
a
and that's why I'm not mad that he doesn't speak out against police brutality and cops killing black people and
but
so on and so forth.
we got
Because
most
Drake doesn't speak out for either side.
the
Now,
higher the higher percentage of artists right now are not going to speak on those social issues because they didn't come into the game with a social interest. They came into the game for that bread, and when you come into the game and you touch that money, and and you're driven by that cash, you ain't gonna risk that shit. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is
Mm-hmm.
not about to be like, yo, I don't get to do a show in Oregon because I said this. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, bro, I'm touring. And you got people's managers that are really like, hey man, don't talk about this. Get off social
Right.
media. Now it's interesting because you also have a dichotomy of artists who just say whatever the fuck they want to say, but we haven't really had an artist that was truly radical get on the mic and be nice and then also um be that verbal and vocal about it in a social media setting. Because Kendrick
Mm-hmm.
don't be on social media.
I was about to say Kendrick and J. Cole are very much out the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Kendrick and J. Cole are very much out the
And
way.
I think they've been threatened enough that they do that for their own safety, if I'm real with you. In that world, and you think about that world, and J. Cole talked about it on when the police were watching his house when he was recording the album. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they was watching him. And oh, they think he's selling drugs or whatever. It's not really just based on that. It's the moves that they think he's making and what they could use against him. He could have ended up in some Rico shit like Young Thug, where you doing this, and like where you have these. It's very easy for the police and for the government to manipulate what they're going to share out to the media to ruin your career, to ruin your opportunity. And people got niggas eating off of them. They feeding their family. They like, yo, man, I know George Floyd died, but my grandma's house not paid off.
Right.
You get
You
some modern day COINTELPRO shit, basically.
Absolutely. And
You
I
think
will even say modern day, this shit ain't never stopped. So it just is COINTELPRO. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny we got so political, especially because my last shit wasn't even super political. But my next tape actually really is. So I would love to talk about that too when I do get to come back on. But kind of gearing into what that radical point of view is that people have to understand, like, yeah, the shit might slip out your hands. It's not about fame though. You know, like you have to be able to say, okay, I can separate this from my ideal of being rich and having access to everything if you're actually serving your community. For me, I'm not interested in music for money at all. I've never been, because I was raised so deeply in the idea of creating music for myself that making music and going into the world is like, oh, if I get some money off this, like that's nice. But I sustain myself in different ways. I make music because I feel like I need to. I feel like it's a divine purpose.
Right.
And I'm gonna always try to stick to being as real, but also really devoted to my causes. I have a lot of causes because I just feel like social awareness is not something that people are committed to. You
Right.
know, it's crazy though, because you thinking about the percentages of black people in general, right? And then you think about, okay, what's the breakdown? Black women, black men. Okay, musically, what's the breakdown? Like, I could fuck with Meg's music, but there's only so much twerk music I can listen to personally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I could fuck with Drake, but there's only so much like surface level shit that I can tap into. I gotta go back to, my function and my format for me to understand like why I even do music. I gotta listen to, for me, I could go between DMX just being raw and gritty and talking about his life and his struggles and his trauma, and then turn it over and say, okay, let me listen to Boogie Down Productions and let me listen to what KRS is talking about and make sure I am picking up my philosophy and making sure I stand to it.
Right.
Um, and I can listen to Drake and shake my ass too. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to what is my personal calling and what am I doing it for? Because I personally think if you're making music just to entertain, you've lost some of the reason of, why you have this big platform. And
Mm.
and I think when people are stepped out into that stage and you have this gift to be a guide, a beacon, you can really do a lot of impact. Like you really have the opportunity to impact. If Drake did come out, right? Let's say Drake tomorrow was like, you know what? Fuck all this shit I've been doing. I really want to talk about Black Lives Matter, and I want to talk about how the police did this and this to this teacher, and this is how I feel about it. You're gonna have an influx of people that are like, okay, well, Drake, I already listened to you. Let me understand what you're talking about. It
Mm-hmm.
could make a huge shift. You know what I'm saying? We might be here like, you ain't never said no shit about this before.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a fan base that doesn't know, that doesn't have the access, that was never welcomed in, that might be like, oh, I never learned about this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think music is a great place to educate,
Yeah.
but
But
then people would have to live that lifestyle too, though. So then you wouldn't be seeing Drake with every white model, or you know what I'm saying. Then it have to be a whole lifestyle shift. The niggas ain't ready to make that shift. That shift means different.
I
You
think that
know,
it would honestly be well received. I personally think that
you
if
hoping for it. You
no,
want
I for a fact, I know for a fact, I really think it would be well received if Drake came out and like really denounced a lot of the bullshit that's going on, the police brutality, the the teach when if he spoke about that teacher that went into cardiac arrest after being tased to fucking death. I think it would be well received because at the end of the day, Drake has a cult following, but I just don't think that it would be. I don't. It would be well received by the masses, but I think a lot of people would be looking. There would be that sector of people that would be like, oh well shit, finally. And then you have other people that be like, fuck out of here. Like you could have been some shit. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that it would be well received by the masses. I think that if anything, and like we're talking about, how it has to be genuine and authentic, but sometimes it really doesn't. Sometimes it's fake it till you make it, but you just got to do a good job of faking it. Because
yeah.
think about, all right, let's say if Drake spoke out and let's say when Breonna Taylor was murdered or whatever,
Right.
Drake spoke out. You don't think that people would have been starting GoFundMe's left and right to help out her family to pay for legal defense for her boyfriend, for and so on and so forth? If
Yeah.
Drake would have started a campaign and been like, I'm donating X amount
Mm-hmm.
on some career
He would have
shit.
made it a trend because he's one of the people.
Exactly.
He is the way. So
Exactly.
they
And
would have jumped on it, just like they jumped
that,
on. Everybody had the little heart in their hair and shit. You know what
I
I'm
Hmm.
saying?
my
They would
head.
have jumped on that shit.
I definitely braided in my head a couple of times. I was supposed to get a heart braid in my hair this time, and my hair braider was like, "Sis, nah, don't do it. Not this time."
You say you had the heart in your braids.
I had times. Last time I had last couple times I had braids, I had a heart. That shit was lit.
I'm
But
gonna tell my hair braider to braid me a heart real quick.
that shit
Braid
was
me
lit. That shit was real cute. Hold on,
So,
I got a picture. Hold on. Here it goes.
oh yeah, that's
oh,
cute.
that's dope.
I love that.
That's dope.
I love that.
And I had like just like straight back braids with like a heart braided into it. It was lit. I was fucking with it.
Yeah.
But
Speaking on Drake, right? Beyonce did it. Beyonce came to the front. She did
Mm.
that whole project around it with the cop videos and all that stuff, and was talking about a lot more black radicalism.
and
And
then
remember how
she
they got?
said she had a heart
They
braided in
was
her hair. I
pissed
was
at her
not.
Oh,
for the
oh, oh,
Super
no,
Bowl
no,
that
no, no,
year.
no, no. And they got mad.
They
Remember
said
she did
she was
Super Bowl.
anti-police. A black cop told me he didn't fuck with Beyonce because she was anti-police. I was like, she denounced police brutality. I just think that
Mhm.
it's interesting how when someone speaks out against police brutality, automatically they're anti-police.
Well,
And
it's
for a
because
black cop to say something like that, I'm like, how like
I
my
feel like though it's because the police culture, the police is so anti-black that if you are anti-black against what they are, then they like, oh well, that's, you know what I'm saying,
Anti
like,
us. Hmm.
yeah. So you just like when they just like the whole Black Lives Matter, and I used to have a white coworker, and then we'd go back and forth about that shit, and I'd be like, what's the big deal with the Black Lives Matter? Like, is it the black part? You know
right.
what I'm saying? What is the big deal? But motherfuckers, they don't want to say it out loud. But really behind closed doors though, that's really what they saying. It's like if you going against this, like, no, y'all gotta accept it. Or they say, well, yeah, it ain't perfect, but it is what it is. But for me, it ain't it is what it is because that's me that y'all killing. Them is my cousins that y'all killing. So
That
you know what I'm saying? But hey, we coming up on 3.5 hours, and I know Shine
it's 1 in the
is
morning,
tired than the motherfucker because she
and I
keep
gotta wake
yawning.
up early on my off day.
So hey, so look, Miss Naughty, I would love to
Yes,
have you back next week
I'm
because
down.
we was waiting for you and my other brother to jump on this Nas conversation. So I would
Okay.
Man,
love
y'all
to have
ever y'all had me out here trying to fend for myself.
man. Yeah, we want
I
y'all
went
back.
through the different phases of Nas and everything.
Nasology. So
I
yeah,
was I was spinning Nasology, and I
next
was
week we're
out
gonna
here
kick
by
that off.
myself
But
amongst a Pac fan and a Jay Z fan.
she was in the building with all Pacific time zone. But you know,
And
we're
the
gonna be
biggest
back
support
next
is
week.
over.
This show was very interesting. I enjoyed your music. If you're not already, jump into the Facebook group. Shine, show her how to get up in the group if she ain't in there already.
I'm just